Hi everyone, my name's Lily. I'm the book reviewer behind Utopia State of Mind, and we're going to chat about timey wimey books. If you don't know, timey wimey is a term that I first was in contact with through Doctor Who. And so, what I mean by timey wimey is not only they're not strictly multiverse, they're not strictly time loops, they're not strictly alternate timelines. I feel like all of these kind of things blur together a lot. To me, they kind of become one timey-wimey subgenre, but obviously, if you're very particular, they're going to be different kind of subgenres. But I'm going to be chatting about those mostly because sometimes when I think about video ideas, I think about topics I want to discuss. I think about themes, subgenres, right? I talked about magical libraries, for example, as a subgenre. But sometimes it's because I'm reading a book and I love it and I want to talk about it. I don't want to just do a straightforward review. I want to talk about it in the context of other books. And that is the case with The Last Hour Between Worlds. I am 30% in from this one and I am loving it so much. I have really, really enjoyed a lot of Melissa Caruso's other books. What other books? Hold on. It should definitely be at the front of this. Oh, yes. I've really enjoyed the Swords and Fire trilogy by Melissa Caruso, and I've really enjoyed the Obsidian Tower. I haven't read the Quicksilver Court and the Ivory Tomb, but I really, really enjoyed the Obsidian Tower. And so when I was sent this one, I kind of knew I was going to love it, but I was not prepared for how much I was going to love it. So basically, let me go to the synopsis to kind of help you out. This doesn't have the synopsis. Okay, let me pull up the synopsis for The Last Hour Between Worlds because I don't want to give spoilers by accident. But it is a investigator and her rival. Basically, the investigator, the main character, is basically just off of maternity leave, not back in the field yet. What field, you might say? She is a time jumper, like a parallel universe time jumper. And so she attends a party kind of as a hurrah before she goes back into the field, and then people start dropping like flies at this party, and is unwittingly kind of brought back into the field of action, and having to potentially work together with her rival, her professional rival, who also is at the party. That's the premise. I am 30% in and I love it so far. I love the main character. I love this idea of being a new mom. I feel like you don't see that a lot in adult fantasy books. Please recommend more below if you know of any. But I feel like you don't see that a lot in fantasy books, and absolutely loving this one so far. And the timey-wimey goodness is great. It also is already kind of making me think about the timey-wiminess to it. I love, and part of these books all have an aspect of examining why there's timey-wiminess, and particularly in this one, the parallel universes, they say that they're kind of different shades away from reality. So you have this idea of we're in a parallel, or we're in a universe. I think they call it prime. And so you have other of these echo universes that are echoes, but like subtle things about them are different. And the further away you get, the further things are different. I just love that idea so much. And so I wanted to talk about that one first. It comes out in November, by the way. So if you want to pre-order this one, you definitely can. I want to talk about also the space between worlds. And the space between worlds, I don't actually remember what the real plot line is. The foundation of the space between worlds is that you can travel to multiverses, but you just can't travel to a multiverse where your version of you in that universe is alive. You can only go to ones where you're dead. This creates a disparity in the sense that if you have a lot of worlds in which you're dead, you can travel to them and you can do stuff in them. Specifically do stuff for the very wealthy and powerful elite kind of in the universe. And so because of that, it means that the people who are traveling are ones who are just naturally dying a lot in these worlds. That means they're either in a lot of danger, or they're just, have lower kind of abilities and opportunities afforded to them. They're doing a dangerous job. They're doing manual labor. They have lower life expectancy. So it kind of talks about that and the the fact that these people who would normally be on the lower ends of society are now as coveted because their multiverse selves in the other universes are dead and are able to then time jump for other people. And so she then works, this main character works, and she collects data for an institution. And so what I really enjoyed as well is that she is struggling not only to do her job, but also to kind of reconcile all of her multiverse traveling with always coming back home to where she grew up, I guess. And there's also a little bit of a conspiracy kind of mystery element going on to that. And so why I love it is kind of what I was talking about before. The actual multiverse idea, specifically behind the traveling and the capacities for traveling, are so well thought out. And I really love this kind of sort of examination about privilege, specifically within multiverse traveling and also in sci-fi and the sci-fi book. So really enjoyed it. It also has a companion novel called Those Beyond the Wall, which I have not read because honestly I saw that it was coming out and didn't even realize that it was a companion novel until someone told me. But I thought I would just mention that in case you, for example, already read The Space Between Worlds and didn't also realize that Those Beyond the Wall was a companion novel to that one. The next one I want to talk about is Here and Now and Then, and also A Quantum Love Story. These are both by Mike Chen, who is such an underrated, fabulous author of speculative fiction books. And so the first one is Here Now and Then, which is actually Mike's debut, and it is about a main character. And so the main character is a time traveling secret agent. Then he gets stranded in the 1990s, and so he has to figure out what he should do. One day, a rescue team arrives from his future, where he was in 2142 and he's stranded in the 1900s. Then his future comes back and tries to rescue him, but they arrive 18 years too late. And so their mission is to return him back to his original timeline, but also his original time at which he got lost, or his mission was botched in 2142. And so he is really struggling to figure out how to reconcile this, because he's lived 18 years in the past. He has kind of moved on, grown, but also he has these memories and these connections and family in the future, or for him, his past. So it was just a really beautiful book about that. If you kind of like this idea of maybe the Umbrella Academy, for example, that Time Institute thing that is in the earlier seasons, I feel like it has a similar vibe to that in some ways. And so Here and Now and Then I wanted to mention, but I also wanted to mention A Quantum Love Story, which is about a time loop. And so she is a neuroscientist, and she is consulting at a particle accelerator. And so there's a man who kind of stops her, and he says that they've met before, but she doesn't know that. And so basically is that they have been together in a time loop, and so he knows it's been a time loop, but she's only realizing after he tells her that it's a time loop. And of course, all the great time loopy tropes. How many times have we time looped? Have you told me that we've time looped before? What happens at the end of every time loop, ... And so if you love time loops, and you love this idea of a science fiction time loop and also some threads of romance, then you definitely have to add this to your TBR. As I said, Mike Chen has written a bunch of really fabulous speculative fiction books, so I definitely wanted to chat about both of those then. The next one is In Universes, which is a book that I recently actually talked to the author Emmett North in a panel, so I will put that link down below. But basically, In Universes is a book that is deeply committed to talking about identity and our sense of self in a variety of kind of parallel or alternate universes. So our main character, Rafi, you have to watch the panel, because Emmett really talks about how the planning and how the conception of this idea really came about, and talking about what parts of us remain the same, what parts of us are different, what parts of us, different stages of our journey. And Emmett was saying, at the beginning, this book is all about kind of oh, what if this were different? And then poof, you're in that kind of different universe. And then sort of looking inward, what if I were different? What if how I felt was different? And so honestly, I can't say too much about it because there's all these kind of parallel and alternate universes which all have their own vibes, whether that be alien infested bears or whether that be, oh my God, what was another one? It was like if when people gave birth, they gave birth to like a horde of animals. I can't actually remember that one specifically, how it's described. But yeah, no, women fracture into hordes of animals. That's what it was. So it's really fun to see kind of these various, mostly speculative fiction, alternate universes and the imagination behind them, but also the connection and the commitment to looking at the inner workings of ourselves in these parallel universes, because it's very obvious to see what has kind of situationally and circumstantially changed, but also internally what has changed. And the final one that I wanted to mention is This Is How You Lose a Time War. Honestly, this book has gone around so much, and with good measure, but basically This Is How You Lose a Time War is about two rival spies in a universe or in a world where there's kind of this war going on across multiple universes, multiple timelines, past, present, future kind of thing, different worlds. And so two rival agents are writing each other letters. It's set all in letters. And they are going on this journey together. You know, an emotional journey that kind of morphs from rivals to taunting to friends to maybe more to how will we even have our future? What is our future? Where are you in the it just is so beautiful. I left this one for last because if you really love timey-wimey stuff, you've probably already heard about This Is How You Lose a Time War. But if you haven't, definitely read it because it is just so beautiful. It's a novella as well. Like, it's a really short book as well. And it's something that you can, like, honestly reread and kind of really enjoyed that experience and enjoyed this idea of letters and enjoyed this idea of rivals and these these different entities as well. It is just so beloved with such good reason, basically. So these were my timey-wimey book recs. And I hope that you've enjoyed, and I hope that you have found the books that you want to read. If you have any other timey-wimey recommendations, please give them to me. I love timey-wimey books, one of my favorite kind of niche subgenres. And yeah, I hope to see you in the next video where we will not be chatting about timey-wimey books. All right, bye.